Greetings YouTube. In today's video, we're gonna go ahead and overclock my GTX 1080, but this can work with any other graphics card. So the first things beforehand that you want to make sure is, do you have plenty of cooling with your graphics card? Do you have a very good airflow in your case? Does the graphics card heat up? What's the max TDP of your graphics card? You want to make sure of that. What is the max temperature that that your graphics card can handle? In my situation, my GTX 1080, it's custom water cooled, so I don't have to worry about temps or none of that. So I'll rephrase it one more time. Make sure that you have plenty of cooling, plenty of airflow in your case if you're not water cooling. Okay, so I'm going to give you the highlights of what we are going to do before I get into the computer with OBS and start recording. The highlights: we're going to work with the power limit, the temperature limit. I'm going to go ahead and slide it all the way to the end. We're going to work with the core clock and the memory clock. And like I said, make sure you set up a fan curve for your fans. Okay, let's go into OBS now. Okay guys, so here we are. I'm inside the computer. I'm recording with OBS and I'm only recording the windows. So I got MSI Kombuster over here. So what we're going to be doing is called fine tuning. And we're going to fine tune our max overclock. And that's what you want to do with your graphics card. I've had MSI Kombuster running for about 18 minutes now. My GPU temp is around 47. The reason why is this high with custom water cooling? Well, because I have the fans, my air conditioner disabled and my fan disabled as well, so it's starting to heat up in this room. So I'm trying to be as fast as possible and simple as possible as well. So we can see that the GPU load is around 94%. It's staying around the 90s, 91, 92, 93, keeps going up and down. And well, the memory clock we can see right here, 5000 megahertz, and the core clock, it's 1911. It automatically boosts to that. It's a good overclocker. Well, maybe not overclocker because, well, it doesn't let me do anything with the core voltage, which, you know, this is the Founders Edition from NVIDIA. I bought it directly from their website. With that out of the way, go ahead and set up a fan speed. Go ahead and set up your, right now I have it set to auto. I don't need it because I don't have fans. I have a EK water block on it. But if you have fans in yours, go ahead and set it up to whatever you want, or 80%. I mean, it's going to be loud, you know that for a fact. Or you can set up a fan curve, custom fan curve. So if you want to know about that, go ahead and search down below, custom fan curve of your fans. On YouTube, you're going to find a lot of great videos, tutorials. So go ahead and do that and then come back to the video if you want. The next thing we want to do is go ahead, I'm going to slide my power limit to the max. Anything you do, any change you do, go ahead and hit OK to apply it right away. So I increased the power limit to 120 and my temperature limit of 92. So that means that if it ever hits to 92, it's going to start thermal throttling. So the performance of the overclock is going to start decreasing. Now this used to happen when I was running the graphics card with the stack cooler, you know, the reference cooler before, the blower style. That was very garbage. And I knew that I was going to do custom water cooling, so I didn't care about it. I know I was going to get rid of that cooler the minute I got it on my hands. Okay, so here it's where we start messing around with the overclock. A lot of people go by 40, and on the memory clock, they always go by 100s. What we're going to do right now is we're going to start working on the core clock. And I already know where I'm going to go with it. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and start going by 40%. Enter and apply. Okay, well, after that, go ahead and increase another 40. So now we're going to do 80 and hit OK. And you're going to start seeing the boost. The core clock starts to go up, right? So that's what we want. So if you have a successful 80% on the core clock, go ahead and do another. So I'm going to go to 120 and keep going your way up until you start to see artifacts in here. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to stop this and go game and come back and go game because I've already done it. But I do recommend that every time you overclock it, every time you increase this number, go ahead and play your games, keep coming back, see the increase in performance if you can see it. This is a long process, shrink into a small video. I know, trust me, but this is a process of at least a week in performance. Well, maybe not a week in performance, but you want to make sure, as an example, if you hit 120 and you're perfectly fine, go ahead and play your games, play for a whole day, and then the next day or maybe 2 hours later, come back, increase this number Let's say I'm gonna go 160 now, and we'll see if I start to see any artifacts in here. I already know where I'm going to hit, so I'm gonna keep going up to 170 and hit okay. I'm already at 2075, and well, we want to keep our eyes open into the artifacts scanning. Once I reach my limit, I'm going to start seeing artifacts right here, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We want to have a perfect overclock. Like I said, if you already hit 170, go ahead and play your games, play different games, run different benchmarks, and then come back and see if you crash, if you get blue screens, well, not blue screens, but black screens and stuff like that. From 170, I'm gonna go to 180 and hit apply. Let me just go ahead and go to 250. Whoa, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. Okay, so that was not good. I'm gonna go ahead and dial back to 200. Oh, and I crashed. Wow. Okay, so I did crash at 250. Okay, well, going to 250 was not a good thing to do, so please do not do that because you will crash. So keep going up on increments of 40 until you start seeing flickerings, artifacts, something happening with MSI Kombuster. Also, go ahead and play your games and whatnot. And like I said, your overclock is going to be different than mine and everyone else's. But this is the, the basics of overclocking. Once you fine tune a good core clock speed on your graphics card, go ahead and move to the memory clock speed. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the memory type that I have on my graphics card. Well, as you can see right here, I pull it up on a big screen. I got the GDDR5X Micron, and this one is not the Samsung. Now there's some forums up there of some people being impressed by the fact that they can increase up to 1000 megahertz in one hit. They keep increasing until you have a stable overclock, but they also claim that, well, the performance increase sometimes even decrease your FPS instead of increasing. So is it worth to overclock the memory clock? I'm gonna be honest with you, I've done my test, I got my fair share experience on it. And I have to say, like, for the type of use that I give my computer, which is gaming and light editing, I don't see an increase in performance where I want to increase this number to 600. I really don't see the reason for me to go up to 600 on the core clock or the memory clock speed. What I do normally, I just keep it at 300 and I hit apply, and that's it. So I keep my core clock at 170 and my memory clock at 300. And I truly don't see any loss in performance if I overclock it, if I apply 500 plus or 600 plus or 700 plus. I don't see it. Now, there is a lot of forums out there with some people say, well, it's not worth it to overclock it that high, and it's great for mining, Bitcoin mining, but for day-to-day use or day-to-day gaming, it's just not worth it. And honestly, myself, I've experienced that I see maybe 5% increase, maybe 9-10 more frames. To me, it's just not worth it. The memory clock, I've increased it to 600. That's the max that I went with it, and I kept it around 150 on the core clock because, like I said, with my graphics card, the higher the memory clock, the lower I have to dial down on the core clock. Now, please share down below your thoughts on overclocking the memory. But if you want to overclock it, well, go ahead and increase it by the hundreds until you start seeing artifact scanning right here with MSI Kombuster. Also, go ahead and play your games. And once you're satisfied with your overclock, go ahead and save it to a profile. Click save. I'm going to go ahead and click save it on profile number 2. And make sure you hit on start up that you have your overclock as well. And well, guys, I know that I can try and push my graphics card a little higher. I don't like to overclock too high. I like to have a mild overclock where I can game perfectly fine, where I don't have to worry about, man, is my overclock too high? You have to feel confident of your overclocking numbers. And these numbers right here, they're perfect for me. Perfect for gaming. I do see increase in performance, and I will make a separate video on that. Okay guys, so this was your host, Sergio with Tech Overclocked. Please share your numbers down below. Please share the highest core clock that you got. Like I said, not every, even if you have an identical graphics card as mine, Founders Edition, your numbers are going to be different than mine. And as well, as you can see, the temperature's at 51 Celsius. It never runs at this temperature with custom water cooling. But right now, my air conditioner's off, my fans are off. Why? Because I'm shooting this video and I don't want the blasting sounds of it in the microphone. But I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I will see you guys next time. Sergio with Tech Overclocked. Please subscribe, hit the like down below. Stay beautiful as always.